You might be asking yourself, why is there a vacuum cleaner in my hand? You also might be asking yourself, why is there a walnut blaster on the other side of that gun in my other hand? Well, the answer is that we're going to be doing some N54 walnut blasting. Welcome to the N54 maintenance series. My name is Frank Macaluso, and you're going to learn something today. That's right, guys. We are going to be doing walnut blasting on this N54. We have a shop vac hooked up to a special apparatus that you can get on eBay for like 15 to 20 bucks. It's basically a 3D printed thing that hooks right into your valve cover inlet for the inlet valves and allows you to basically vacuum and blast at the same time, which is really the only way to do this. So this guy, I'll have the link down in the description of what this is and how to use it. Well, the how to use it part will be in this video. Today we have made up ourselves a regular, kind of like a Harbor Freight deal, right? So this is the suction cup, the suction side that goes right into a pail of walnut shells, right? The other side of that, basically when you press the trigger, it pulls the walnut shells up and out through the siphon gun, and it goes right through this tube. And that tube obviously goes into this hole that allows you to poke through and really just blast and spray wherever you need to while you're continually sucking with the vacuum. And it keeps it nice and clean, and it makes it a little bit easy and kind of fun actually to do this. Now let me show you what the valves look like now before we do any blasting, and I'll show you exactly how to ensure that you've shut off each cylinder's intake valves such that you don't get any walnut shells inside of the combustion chamber. So what we've done is we've removed the intake manifold and we've exposed the intake valves, okay? And if you look inside of these guys, you'll see that they are really, really dirty. Okay, all of them, all 6 of them are exactly that way. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look at only one valve here, and we're going to do a before and after and figure out how to do this. Now, if you've watched me before, you'll see right up in that upper left corner, you'll see that I have done this before. I've done it once before with soda blasting on the E36 N54 swap. Didn't really go very well. But then I kind of got a little bit smarter and did it for the E30 N54, which turned out perfect. And we're going to do it here on a stock N54 in its own home. So we're going to give that a shot and see how things work out. Now, before you do any of these types of operations, you have to make sure that you can move the crank. Moving the crank allows the valves in each of the intake cylinders to open and close as needed. So what you do is you basically put the 22 millimeter deep socket on the end of your hub. There it is. And it allows you to turn the crank relatively easy. You can see on the back side here, I'm turning it. You can see the clutch there, right? And what it does is it actually moves the intake valves. Look, see, it's opening. Okay, so when you rotate, you open and close those valves, and you want to make sure those valves are closed before you do that particular cylinder. All right, let's turn that vacuum on. I've gotten cylinder 1 completely closed, so I know that I'm good there. I have my positioning set up here where I am good here. I can put this in. Let's get the compressed air on. Okay. Looks like nothing went through. I opened this hole just up a little bit more. I found some aluminum tube that would work, and I taped it to the end of the gun such that I can get the gun in there. I think that this might actually get me exactly what I'm looking for to get better penetration inside of that intake manifold. that's much, much better. Yeah. So now I'm pretty much done with this first cylinder. I'll show you in a second. I still have remnants of like a little bit of gunk and of obviously a lot of walnut chips in there. So I'm gonna try vacuuming them out really quick. All right, cylinder 1 is done. You can see in there, it looks pretty clean, right? Look at that, huh? Look at that, look at cylinder 2, right? Look at cylinder 1. 2, 1, 2, 1. Looks really, really nice in there, really clean. Yeah, so I think I got the procedure down pat. Let me explain it to you really quick. So first, what you need to do, I think, to make the walnut blasting effort easier is to go in with a flathead screwdriver and just get all the big gunk out. That's gonna make the walnut blasting a lot quicker because it's not gonna have to go through all those layers of carbon buildup, that oily carbon buildup in order to get to the aluminum underneath. So you scrape a lot of this out, it'll fall down onto the intake valve, the tops of the intake valves, but it's actually gonna save you a lot of time on the walnut blasting side. Also, when you blast, you don't need to just move the gun so quickly. You don't need to just move it. You can just hold it in one space and just let the walnuts do the work because it's just gonna bounce around in there and hit everything that it can. Every little piece of walnut is gonna hit a different spot and eventually it's going to get everything. So don't think that you have to move and point the gun constantly in order to get good coverage because you don't. You can just hold it there. Makes your life easier too. And the third thing is to have not only this attachment handy to hook right onto your vacuum to do the blasting part, but also have something like this handy in order to get all the little pieces of walnut shell out just to see how good you've done, how good the coverage was. Having this handy makes you hook it right one up, remove it, hook the other one up, and just keep on doing it. It actually takes away from the iterativeness of the process. When you do that, you can do all these cylinders each in about 15 minutes times another 5. So maybe about another hour, hour and a half. But I mean, it's worth it at the end. You know, you're gonna get a really good product and you know, you're gonna get, you know, a really good blasted intake valve. So this is good, this is really good. Let's do the other 5. Just scraping by. Okay, it took about 2 hours total to finish it up and I went back to other cylinders to check back and I just fine-tuned it and got it exactly how I want, which I think is pretty damn good. Let's take a look. So all cylinders are done. That is 1, that's 2, that right there is 3, he's open. That's 4, that's 5, and that right there in there is 6. So now that everything's basically done, we can work on another subset of videos, which I'm gonna do before wrapping all this up. But for the purposes of this video, walnut blasting is done. Let's take a quick look before I wrap up and show you the kind of hoses that I use and vacuum attachments that I use in order to make this a little bit more streamlined. Because after the first cylinder was done, the other 5 actually went pretty smoothly once I got into a rhythm. The shop vac I ended up using was a rigid. It's I think it's like a 12-gallon, 5 horsepower, 5.5 horsepower. It's more than enough than what you need for this. You can actually get away with something about half this size, but this worked out really well, and I'm really glad that I used it because it came with a lot of attachments that ended up working well. Let's go over those attachments real quick. So these are the attachments I used. This is basically just a Harbor Freight siphon feed, you know, suction feed, easily attainable, very cheap set. You just stick the bottom part in the pail, and this is the gun, and I have it taped to like an aluminum tube.
that allows you to kind of pivot it a little bit. And the pivoting is really important so you can get into both cylinders and you can kind of go in and out and around the side. So this actually worked out really well and it didn't gunk up once. This guy is my vacuum attachment. This is the one that I put on the end of the vacuum, and it has a very small tip at the end, and that allowed me to kind of suck up all the dirt that might have accumulated, and of course the walnut shells that I couldn't really quite get with the existing vacuum attachment, which is this. And this is a PLA, like an ABS, I think, 3D printed piece that I bought on eBay. Link down in the description. And I have it hooked up to a couple of hoses and then of course the vacuum attachment that fits the vacuum. And it worked out really, really well. I'm very, very happy about how it performed, and it hasn't cracked, it hasn't broken on me, and I've done a couple of these already, so this thing has really paid off dividends in a very short amount of time.
So guys, that just about does it for this maintenance video, the N54. This is a 335, it's a 2007, and we have tons of videos, guys. Check them all out on the playlist. I have maybe 15, 20 videos dedicated to this car alone on the various things that you can do to improve the life, the longevity of your N54 engine and your E90 in general. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Frank Macaluso, and I am out of here. Later.